typically in downward cycles, we shift very much back to a compliance culture. It's all about making sure we have got the licence to operate and we're getting all of our requirements for the organisation, we're meeting our minimum standards, which is unfortunate because we know that the moment we shift into that mindset, it tells the organisation, just tick the box, comply to the task. What it takes away from them is that opportunity to be innovative, really demonstrate their role as leaders to think outside of the square, let's call it, and really have some positive impact in driving the organisational culture forward.
Yeah, it amazes me that in this day and age there are still businesses out there that just don't get the connection between strong safety leadership and the output and the performance that that can drive through a business, and not only from a safety perspective but also from an overall business perspective. And that's where GSI comes in, is to support businesses understand the competency of their leadership and also what the culture is in the organisation.
The reality is our budgets are going to be reduced as the macroeconomic environment starts to shift. That's the harsh reality of business in a downward cycle, which then causes us to think about, well, how can we be more innovative, creative? How can we do more with less? The challenge is many OH&S leaders at multiple levels in the organisation don't necessarily have that skill set to be able to think strategically, don't have the business acumen to be able to articulate, well, the decision to actually reduce or sustain that budget but ask for a significant step change in performance is problematic. And here are the potential causes or potential outcomes of making that decision. So our advice would be, you need to be able to stop, step back and critically evaluate cause and effect. If we maintain status quo, what can we maintain in performance? But also making sure we have a responsibility as OH&S professionals to raise the concern to the executive level and possibly to the board in regards to material impact that this may be having on our risk profile.
I think there are two key things that businesses are facing a challenge, and one is the safety leaders in the organisation, the actual representatives of the safety function, and how can they influence the leaders in the business to drive safety effectively. And part of that challenge, the second one, is really that challenge between cost of doing something and cost of not doing something, and really for the safety practitioners but also the operators in a business to ensure that the leaders of the business understand that it's a critical area of focus, is making sure that the cost of doing something is not outweighed by the cost of not doing something.
What's great to see though is those organisations who have now been measuring and monitoring their leadership competence and capability and the direct impact on culture have said, we're not going to cut investment in people leadership development. And they're seeing the benefit of that because the leaders are better placed to deal with change. They're not so risk adverse. They are thinking outside of the square, but the principal impact that we've learnt is that they are more confident to lead by example. So role modelling that in a tough environment condition is absolutely the last catch-all when it comes to critical control management. If the systems are failing because people aren't using them as effectively, there's a high chance that the condition of the objects within organisations is not maintained. Therefore, the collective process of those objects and the act of people integrating with those objects is telling us that the systems aren't as fit as they should be.